My name is Tsepo. I would like to thank you for joining me on this very wonderful analysis. I have looked at how the behavior of gold and dollar and the yen have been over the past maybe month or two. It has been very interesting move. So I'd like to share that based on correlation analysis. Firstly, I'm looking at the gold chart and I'm looking at the daily chart. I'm also going to be looking at its weekly chart. I'm also going to be looking at the dollar yen weekly and monthly chart. I just want to really look at where the sentiments are looking at. I've seen over the past 2 weeks a very strong dollar moves, which were pretty heavy especially after a sell-off. We've been seeing lots of volatility. Of course, we can see that from last week, the dollar yen has been showing very nice buyers there. You can see that the buying was pretty good over of the dollar. The dollar index did the same thing. The dollar across the board pretty much had a very nice push. But I'd like to stop here. I'd like to just say, notice on how I've done this pattern. I'm looking very closely at this key level, which is the resistance that has been holding for quite a long time. And this resistance looks like it is showing us some form of a bearish pattern there. So this is kind of a contracting. I wouldn't say it's an ascending triangle. It looks like it's a contracting. It looks like, in fact, it's pretty much even more of a contracting triangle that is congruent. So in this instance, we won't really expect the price to be the price could be bouncing anywhere from this resistance. I mean, you can see that from seeing resistance, but we cannot go ahead of ourselves. There's something also that we need to look at. One thing that I've noticed is that the dollar index has also been doing something very interesting, but I had to look at it. I'll look at it later. So the UJ on a weekly chart, this pattern pretty much looks negative, but we will only, the dollar yen, the sellers nearly, they were really pushing this, and they pushed it very hard, over the 2 weeks before. Sometimes back, they really pushed hard. You can see the sell-off that happened from that point. I'd just like you to notice the sell-off that happened from this time. There is the sell-off, the price falling up to there. The way these guys have recovered, it was an amazing recovery, I must say. There was an amazing recovery there. I just want to show you a very amazing recovery. The price, pretty much, there it is. There's the selling. There is the selling that happened right from the 112 on the resistance. There it is. Looks like they were even breaking this previous support, and then the buyers of the dollar took it from the 10900 against the yen, pushed it up for 2 weeks. They've been pushing it up, and looks like they are ending back again to where we know. It's a full recovery basically. We have come full circle from the 3 weeks of the other week plus this 2 weeks. So it has been very much volatile there. The war is pretty clear between the dollar and the yen, and I think this battle has got everything to do with gold, according to my analysis. I think it has got everything to do with which currency pair or which asset becomes the safe haven. I think that's the first thing that I want to just note there. Next thing that I would like to note is that, fine, let's look at, this is how they, as I said, this for me looks negative, even if the price could, for me, the UJ looks negative, even if the price could go up, even if this price could go up. I've seen some patterns breaking this point because there's got a very good demand coming from that level. Even if this price could go up, I don't honestly expect the price could be breaking that level. If it does, good luck to them. That would be the only time, only when the dollar index also shows a very big positive. But even if it does, I've seen some pairs coming, breaking, and stopping somewhere also there around these levels, and then from there going down. And when it plummets from these levels, the sell-off becomes very aggressive. it becomes very, very big moves to the downside. So, but one is going to be monitoring very closely this resistance. And the reason why I'm interested now in this resistance is that let's switch on to gold. The gold is on the left side, and we can see that gold, as we can see that currently, I've just noticed that gold has completed its impulse wave, five wave structure, and then in that case, it has plummeted from the fifth wave, and then not even respected the support and resistances of the shoulder, completely broken the shoulder, completely broken the neckline. That was a heavy sell off of the dollar there, and I think it's caused by the same demand of the dollar. It's the plummeting of the gold because of the strong demand of the dollar. This recovery of UJ and dollar across many pairs has caused this kind of a plummeting of the UJ. This recovery, I mean, everything looks pretty much like this pair could have come there and could have still gone to the downside, but the recovery was splendid. This was a fantastic recovery by the dollar. Well done to it, leaving this entire zone as a big demand zone and leaving this area of the UJ as a very huge one big supply zone around the 1700s. The question is that will gold be able to do like palladium and hit the $2,000 mark? That's for us to see. But as it stands right now, I'm monitoring closely that if you can look at this, we are noticing that, or I noticed that both this currency pairs looks to have found, the gold seems to have found support at 1450, 1460, and also UJ has now found resistance. Remember, these pairs are inversely correlated. The rally of the UJ, it is the sell-off of the is the sell-off of gold. So in this case, I noticed that both of them are finding key levels. The dollar yen is finding a level of resistance, and gold is finding level of support. In this case, yes, as I always say, I expect that in this case, because there's resistance, if this resistance has got anything to do to work, it should be pushing the price to the downside. And when it does, and then gold will also be pushing to the upside. I think that gold could push right up to this level. These levels are the 1650 levels of the gold. The 1550 rather. These are the 1550 levels. These are the 1550 levels of gold, and this would be, and the UJ will just be coming to the support which we expect it to come from. So in that case, again, we'll be seeing another form of key levels. You know, in this case, then the gold will be reaching the resistance there around 1550, and depending on where the UJ will be, it could be somewhere back to these levels that were retested. Anyway, the UJ could also find, or will find, some form of support, which is very, very strong point where the dollar bias or the bulls of the dollars are pretty strong there. Even there, the sellers of gold around 1550 could be strong. We continue with the moves, then from there I will be expecting that, therefore, and then gold will be dropping from the 1550 levels. I'm expecting gold to drop right up to the 1350, right up to the 1350 levels to come and retest that support, that resistance which it broke around February 2018, somewhere around there. That's the 13 level mark. I'm expecting that gold will be going there, and then at the same time when that happens, it means therefore we will be expecting gold or the dollar yen to be bouncing from this serious demand, and I think it can bounce anyway. It's possible that it could break there. I think it could break, but if it doesn't, it could go there. It depends on exactly what will happen with the gold. I'm telling you, I think so. It will definitely depend on what the gold will do around 1350. But I think that if the dollar can, highly likely, if gold can find lots of buyers around the 1350s, this lots of them, if you can get volatility, this will be a full retracement of 1, 2, 3, full retracement of gold, then, and also at the support there, everything will be adding up there for this fresh retest of gold. So I definitely think, according to my analysis, that gold would found the ABC There's the 5-wave structure. It is completed, and that's the ABC correction there, finding it around the 50 retracement, 61.8 there, and then pushing up. I think that's the only way that gold could reach the 1900 to the $2,000 levels. Where do I get that from? Let's continue again on the other side with gold. If I take gold to the weekly chart, you see that this is how it looks like. Pretty much looks like we're talking about the 1360s, the 1350 levels that I'm talking about. That is going to be, that's where gold could be bouncing in, getting some buyers. And these buyers, when you look at the weekly chart, they will be supported nicely so by these levels, the levels which the price broke in 2018 and never came to retest again. These are the levels, you know, that's the area there. The 1360, 1350, it could be the retracement or the correction, or the 3-wave correction, then from the move up, right up to the 1860 level. It looks, according to the Fibonacci expansion, that we could see the price of gold then going right further up and then retest the 1860 price level. This can only happen if this resistance still keep, if this resistance can still keep its sanity and still keep itself, it could be a threat to the support. It could be the threat to the entire, to this entire, it could be a threat to, it could be a threat to this demand. So that's what I'm looking at currently. A very interesting chart for me. I'll definitely look at that. If this demand, there's going to be a serious fight between this strong rejection of the sellers by the buyers on the UJ. They're going to be facing strongly so against these key levels of the sellers. So the price could be chopping right in between there. But even if it chops in between there, it does not look there's going to be much chopping on the side of gold. Gold would rather, if anything, would rather be consolidating in between this channel, and anything of a consolidation here is definitely bullish, because then gold will be launching a parabolic move nicely so to the 1850, possibly touch the 1900, and if the volatility continues, we might just touch the psychological $2,000 per ounce of gold. That's what we're looking at from that point. This is correlation. We're looking at this wave that has just moved. That's the rally. That's the correction. That's another one going. That's another one coming to make, looking for some, for wave number 4 right there, and going to do number 5, completing the wave that should be going back to the highs of gold that were seen somewhere around 2009, 2010. It would be a 10-year cycle, by the way, moving from 2010 $2,000 levels back to 2020 $2,000 again of price of gold. That would be an exact 10-year cycle there. And then I don't want to anticipate anything from there. I think from the $2,000 level, I'm expecting gold to come back just to retrace it back to the 15 and back to the 161.8 fib expansion levels there. It could still want to attempt. I think it will depend on the global markets there. That's what I'm looking at between UJ and the price of gold. That's how it looks like. The only way that the gold will be able to touch the $1,900, $2,000 levels is when gold breaks this and then completes this pattern and come into the 84.25 levels. In this case, this pattern would have completely been fulfilled. Head, shoulder, this would be a very nice shoulder, and this neckline that you're looking in is a very intimidating, I must emphasize that. This is a seriously intimidating neckline. It needs a very brave and very solid fundamentals and sentiments to break on the side of the bearish dollar. But where will those sentiments come from? I want to just quickly rush and show you and share with you and just share with you on how this one looks like. So this is, quickly share with you, this is how the dollar index looks like currently. So where would the dollar, how will the UJ then succeed? It will have to succeed only when the dollar index also could show strength. But we can see that the dollar index has also done the same thing. There's the rally. There is the rally that we spoke about of UJ. This is the general strength of the of the dollar index showing the general strength of the dollar. But according to me, it has come to the up to the top, which is also the resistance. It's not just the resistance in terms of the high, there's very same high that we saw somewhere again around 2016, but it has also come to the trend line resistance again on the other side. So I'm seeing therefore that the dollar index is showing that there's a lot of resistance now, or at a point of selling levels from those who have been, but the momentum to the upside, I must state, is very strong. So in this case, let's say this resistance is coming through, which I think it could. In this case, UJ is finding some resistance. I've also checked the dollar Swiss franc, also found some resistance. So in this case, let's say there's a bit of a pullback of the dollar. If there's a pullback of that dollar, then we see that dollar coming back to this side, and that's how gold will be going to that right shoulder, just to go to that to the 1550 levels. Remember, coming back to this point, and I think what could happen is that instead, if it does not break these support levels, if it does break the support levels, by the way, this is gonna be gold's breakthrough. If the dollar index can break this level, I'm just telling you right now that UJ will have already broken, or will be attempting to break that neckline, that strong demand that we've just seen. And then from there, we definitely expect gold to be cruising very nicely to the 2000 levels. All I'm saying is that the gold will reach the $2,000 levels when the dollar index will be somewhere around the 80 levels right there. That's going to be when gold will be at the 1800. But of course, there's going to be hard work that must happen from there. So in this case, it does not look pretty good. Again, I must say the prognosis or the outlook of the dollar index, according to me, does not look good. You can see that it moved there on this channel, jump to the upper channel there. You can see move there, make a W pattern there, and as always fell. And now it is now on this pattern that for me it's still bearish. I would definitely keep this one as I will keep this as some form of an RS, this some form of, and then this as some form of a head, and maybe just maybe this could be the point at which the right shoulder would be made in a form of Andrews, just in terms of this fork. So that's what I'm looking at. I think for me, the dollar index supports the analysis that in the long run, we're going to be seeing a weak dollar. In the long run, we're going to be seeing a weak dollar that will push back, according to the dollar index, to the around 80 levels. I saw that the dollar Swiss franc is also hitting the resistance. The euro dollar is finding some support. The only currency that has lost its strength completely against the dollar, it is the pound. The pound completely broke the very key level, unless if it goes further to the downside to find some form of support there, which if it pulls to the upside to retrace or to pull back, that could also cause some form of the weakening of the dollar. But we are monitoring the giant here, and the giant, as I say, is the dollar. The dollar has been messing up the market in every single way possible. That's what I'm looking at. And lastly, I'm also looking at this issue of, if we can look at the pattern that we're looking right now, we're looking at how the dollar has behaved against the ZAR. You can see that this pattern is the same pattern that we look at, when similar pattern that I've posted before on how the dollar has managed to move from the 15, 14 levels right up to the 17 levels. It used a similar pattern. Pretty much it used a similar pattern, just like what the gold is used. You could remember that I've posted a chart where this is the level at which Ramaphosa took the USD chart somewhere around this level, and then from there this zone was broken, and then we came to this level. This level was retested, and today is using the similar pattern. USD ZAR, it's around the 1750 levels, and those 1750 levels are those of USD ZAR that were seen around the 2016 period again. So basically, I'm looking towards a similar style of how a similar style of how this guy has done all these things. So it is more like a rounded approach, and then the price then will start falling from that point. Yes, I think that gold will fall out from the 2000 psychological level back to the 15, perhaps just by 25%, back to the 1500s levels, and then we can talk from there. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the pips, trade safely. The market is pretty volatile. Remember, your risk management is going to be important. Do not just go. This is not financial advice, but it's just to analyze the market as I see it. Some people can have a different opinion, but that is my opinion, and I hope that you will have a good time in the market. Cheers. Until I see you, I'll talk to you again.